Hello everyone, welcome to Storytime with Miss Heidi. 大家好，歡迎你哋嚟到 Miss Heidi 講故事時間。This week, I would like to share with you a story called The Invisible. This is a very touching story about this girl called Isabel, who, because of her family, had to move to a part of the city which initially made her feel very cold, sad and lonely. 今個星期呢個故事呢，叫做 The Invisible。呢個係一個好感動嘅故事，關於一個女仔，佢叫做 Isabel， 因為一啲屋企嘅原因啦，佢要搬去城市嘅另外一個地方。嗰個地方呢，一開頭令佢覺得好冷清清啦。好孤單啦，同埋好唔開心啊。But slowly, she found that there are things that she could do which would make things better, not just for her, but for the community too. 但係之後，佢發覺原來有一啲嘢佢可以做，會令到自己開心啲啦，亦都令到成個社區都開心啲嘅喎。Let's read on and find out what she did. 我哋一齊睇下究竟 Isabel 做咗啲乜嘢。The Invisible by Tom Percival. Invisible 即係睇唔到嘅意思 ，visible 睇得到 ，invisible 睇唔到。This story is about people who might feel a bit invisible. They might feel that they're not seen by other people. 呢個 story 叫做 invisible， 因為有啲人好似 Isabel 咁樣，佢覺得佢被無視，好似有好多人睇佢唔到咁樣，所以呢個故事嘅 title 叫做 The Invisible. Isabel pulled on her favorite jumper. Isabel 着咗佢最中意嘅一件 jumper 即係衛衣。Ice curled across the inside of the window and crept up the corner of her bedpost. 呢個係一個好凍，係冬天一個好凍嘅日子。Ice curled across the inside of the window. Isabel 嘅屋企咧，個窗入邊啦，連佢嘅床架嘅床柱 bedpost 都已經結咗冰啦。It was very beautiful. And Isabel always noticed beautiful things. 呢個落雪嘅冬天好靚啊 It was very beautiful. And Isabel always noticed beautiful things. Isabel 係成日都會留意到一啲好靚嘅嘢嘅。But there was no escaping the fact that it was also cold. Very cold. 但係就算佢好叻去留意一啲好靚嘅嘢，都唔可以忽視咗一個事實，就係真係好凍啊。You see, Isabel's family couldn't afford to have the heating on. Isabel 嘅屋企佢 couldn't afford 負擔唔起啊，佢哋唔可以負擔得起開暖氣嘅費用。Isabel's family couldn't afford a lot of things. Isabel 嘅屋企，佢哋負擔唔起，有好多嘢佢哋都負擔唔起嘅。例如去睇戲啦，可能佢哋都唔夠錢去睇。Things that some people take for granted, 理所當然。有好多人理所當然嘅嘢 ，Isabel 屋企都負擔唔起㗎。But Isabel tried not to worry about the things she didn't have. 但係 Isabel 嘗試唔去為一啲佢冇嘅嘢而擔心。After all, she and her family had everything that they needed. They had each other. After all, 畢竟 She and her family had everything that they needed. 佢同埋佢嘅屋企人已經有佢哋全部所需要嘅嘢啦。They had each other. 佢哋有大家。But one day, there just wasn't enough money to pay the rent and all the bills. 但係有一日，佢哋真係連交租 rent 同埋交所有嘅費用嘅錢都冇啊。There just wasn't enough money to pay the rent and all the bills. Isabel and her family had to leave the home, the house which held all the happy memories. Isabel 同佢嘅屋企人要離開佢哋嘅屋企啦，一間充滿住佢哋開心回憶嘅一間屋。And move to the far side of the city. 佢哋要去到城市嘅另外一邊。For the first time ever, Isabel couldn't find anything beautiful to cheer herself up. 有史以嚟第一次 ，Isabel 揾唔到任何靚嘅嘢去令佢自己開心。This part of the city looked exactly how she felt. Cold, sad, and lonely. 呢個城市嘅呢個部分，同佢嘅心情一模一樣 ，exactly 一模一樣，好冷清清，好傷心，同埋好孤單。A family drove past in a shiny car, but they looked straight through Isabel, as though she wasn't even there. 有一個家庭揸住一架好靚嘅車行過，但係佢哋望穿咗 Isabel， 就好似佢根本唔存在咁 ，as though 就好似佢根本唔喺嗰度咁樣。None of the other smartly dressed people seemed to see her either. 其他着得好光鮮嘅人 ，smartly dressed people， 佢哋都好似見唔到 Isabel 咁。Isabel looked down and realized that she could barely see her own hands or her feet. Isabel 向下望，然後佢發現佢好似都就嚟見唔到自己對手或者對腳咁樣 barely 緊緊見到啫。She could barely see her own hands or her feet. She was fading away. 佢慢慢好似就嚟消失咁樣啦。Before long, Isabel was completely invisible. She drifted silently down the street, as pale and thin as the wind. Before long, 唔使幾耐 Isabel was completely invisible. Isabel 已經係完全見唔到啦。She drifted silently down the street. Drifted silently down the street 即係話佢好似飄緊咁樣，佢好輕咁樣喺條街度行，好似飄緊咁樣。As pale and thin as the wind， 好似一陣風咁樣，好蒼白，一陣風咁樣。And nobody saw her at all， 冇人見到佢。But now that Isabel was invisible, she noticed something she hadn't seen before. Other invisible people. 但係而家 Isabel 自己係 invisible， 而家已經係透明咗，睇唔到。佢見到一啲佢以前冇留意嘅嘢，其他嘅透明人啊，仲有好多添啊 ，lots of them. There was an old lady planting flowers in empty paint pots. 有一個老婆婆，佢喺一啲空嘅油漆罐嗰度種緊花啊。There was the man who slept on a bench, feeding the birds in the park. 有一個叔叔，佢咧係喺公園嗰啲長凳嗰度瞓嘅，佢喺度餵緊啲雀仔。And there was the boy who had been forced to leave his home in another country, helping to mend someone's bike. 佢又見到有個男仔，佢被逼離開自己嘅家園，本身佢係另外一個國家嚟嘅，但係可能有某一啲原因啦。He was forced to leave his home in another country. 佢被逼要離開佢喺另外一個國家嘅屋企。And he was helping to mend someone's bike. Mend 修理，佢幫緊某一啲人修理佢哋嘅單車 bike。But they all seemed so alone. 但係佢哋全部都感到好孤單。Isabel decided to help. Isabel 決定咗要幫忙。She planted flowers in the paint pots. 佢咧都開始喺呢啲空嘅油漆罐嗰度開始種花。She looked after stray animals. Stray animals 佢開始照顧一啲流浪嘅動物。Stray animals 流浪動物。And she helped to fix things up. 佢仲幫手修理唔同嘅嘢添。Then, day by day, and week by week, other people joined in too. 然之後，日子一日一日，一個星期咁過去，其他人都開始參與，佢哋一齊去 fix things up. And the more people came together, the more it could all be seen. 越嚟越多人凝聚埋一齊，佢哋咧就越嚟越多可以俾人睇到啦。Soon, Isabel wasn't just visible, she was vibrant. 過咗冇幾耐 ，Isabel 唔止而家可以俾人睇到，佢唔再透明啦。She was vibrant, 充滿活力啊！而家佢唔止俾人睇到，佢仲充滿活力添啊！ And so was her new home. 唔單止佢啊，連佢嘅新嘅屋企都已經充滿活力啦。And that was how Isabel made something very special. 呢個就係 Isabel 點樣可以做一個做出一啲好特別嘅嘢。One of the hardest things that anyone can ever make. 而呢樣嘢咧係其中一樣最難做嘅嘢嚟嘅。Isabel had made a difference. Isabel 做出咗一個改變。Children, in our society, in our community, there are always these people who might feel a bit lonely, who might feel that they are invisible. Sometimes maybe you feel a bit invisible too. 小朋友喺我哋嘅社區嗰度，喺我哋嘅社會上邊，都會有好多其他人，可能佢哋會覺得有啲孤單，有啲唔開心，覺得自己都有少少好似一個透明人咁。可能有陣時你都會有咁嘅感覺㗎。But what Isabel has taught us is that no matter where you're from, no matter what your family background is, you always have a right to belong. 但係 Isabel 教咗我哋嘅就係，無論你喺邊度嚟嘅，無論你嘅屋企係點樣嘅，每個人都有權利去覺得自己屬於一個地方。And no matter how small you might feel, you too can always make a difference. 而就算你覺得自己幾渺小都好，你都可以做出改變㗎。So next time when you go out, have a look around. See if you can notice people who might feel a bit invisible, who we might not have noticed before. And have a think about whether there are things that you can do too to make a difference to the community. 下次當你出街嘅時候，周圍望下，睇下你發唔發覺有啲可能我哋以前忽略咗嘅人，我哋以前睇唔到，或者佢哋好似覺得自己好 invisible 嘅人，諗一諗，有冇啲方法，有冇啲嘢你可以做，去做出改變，去令到我哋嘅社區，去令到身邊嘅人，變做一個更加好嘅地方。 Thank you for joining me this time. Join me next time for more interesting stories. Take care for now. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.